The Great Depression started in 1929 and lasted till 1939, and was known to be a very difficult time for many people. There were 5 main reasons that caused the Great Depression. Starting off with number 1, the stock market crash of 1929 had a huge impact. In the summer of 1929, the stock market reached a record high, but then began to decrease in September. On October 24th, the market severely dropped and many investors were worried, and just 5 days later, the market crashed. This day was known as Black Tuesday. 2 months later, more than 40 billion US dollars was lost, causing the economy to shatter. The second cause of the Great Depression was bank failure. With people giving the banks their money and the banks using it to loan out to the other people, the banks soon didn't have enough money to pay the original owners back. Worried of this, everyone rushed to the bank to retrieve their money, and this caused the banks to close. The third reason was the reduction in purchasing. With less people with money, less things were being purchased, and inventory began to stack up, and the employment rates began to decrease severely. The fourth reason is an attempt to fix the Great Depression, but this was a failed attempt. The government stepped in and enforced the Tariff Act of 1930. American trading partners retaliated by imposing tariffs, and world trade fell by 2/3. Finally, the environmental destruction and drought was the cause of the Great Depression as well. The drought and the farmers created a huge dust bowl, and crops and agriculture eventually died. So now I'm going to be talking about the impacts of the Great Depression. Suicide rates rose severely, and the crime rates rose because people couldn't afford food and simple necessities that it was just mandatory for them to steal. And families were suffering of malnutrition because of the Dust Bowl, and agriculture and crops died, and they didn't have enough money to buy anything. And almost everyone was hopeless at this time in history. Finally, the consequences of the Great Depression were over 17 million unemployed men got into the war, and the country got out of the depression, but the taxes were still very high, and food was rationed, and luxuries were removed. So they were just slowly getting out of the depression, and that's how the country was heading for more success. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you learned a lot about the Great Depression.